Hello there, Jessica Nelson here, coming to you from the YMCA of Greater Michiana. Today's Pilates class will require you to have a roller. So if you have one of your melt rollers or any other roller handy, you're going to want to have that nearby before we get started. And today we're going to start with our warm-up. But first, let's go ahead and find that beautiful posture. So I want you to stand with your feet hip-width distance apart, and you're going to have your knees over your ankles, your hips over those knees, rib cage balanced over the hips, shoulders rolled back and down. Maybe give that neck a little twist side to side, loosen out any tension, and then find the ears right over the shoulder. From here, let's take a few deep breaths together. So a big deep inhale in as the arms come up overhead, and an exhale out as the arms come back down to the side. Two more here. Inhale up and exhale down. Last one. Inhale up and exhale down. Now let's start to get some movement going. We're just going to start with a tiny little prance. So we're just going to stand here and pop the heels up one at a time at your own pace. Don't rush it. Don't feel like you have to do anything too quickly. Just prance with the left heel pop, right heel pop, side to side. Just loosening up the ankles, starting to warm up the body. Couple more here. And when you're ready, transition that prance into just a little marching step. It's not a high step march, just a little march where you pick one foot up off the ground, then the other, marching in place, letting the arms swing side to side, whatever feels natural right now. Not thinking too hard about it, just enjoying the movement. About 3 more on each side here. And last set. And let's turn that into a high march now. So now we're going to come up into that chair step march where we have a 90-degree bend in our knee. And we march way left and right, and just do that chair step march. If it feels good, you can add those arms, so bringing the arms up overhead, and you can chop those arms down. When the right knee comes up, the arms come down, left knee comes up, arms come down. And it's a nice little lift and chop. About 3 more on each side. And then go ahead and let that settle back down to just a little low march. We kind of ramped it up, we're going to ramp back down. And from that low march, take it back to that little prance. So now it's just the balls of the feet stay on the ground and the heels are popping left and right. And then slow it down into stillness. Let's go ahead and take our legs out wide now. And so now we're in a wide-legged stance. So the feet are farther than hip-width distance apart. And from here, we're just going to do a little bit of a little plie and then releve in this wide stance. So first, just make sure you're set up for success here. You've got a nice solid foundation. And so we're going to squat down into our little wide-legged stance, and then we're going to come on up. So we're just going to squat and come up, and squat and come up. 2 more here. Squat and come up, and squat and come up. So now we're going to continue to do that. We're going to squat and we're going to come up onto our toes. So we're going to squat down and rise up to the toes, and squat down and rise up. And do about 5 or 6 more of those here at your pace. Starting to feel more of that blood pumping for us, right? And after that last squat and releve, or settle that back in, we're in our wide-legged stance, and we're going to turn this into just like a little skater move. So go ahead and let's start out first by just doing a little toe tap. So we're just going to shift our weight side to side, tapping the right foot, shift to the other side, tap the left foot. So it's a tap and shift and tap and shift. Arms can reach out overhead if you want, or across the body. Just get it moving. Tap and shift and tap and shift. And now let's go ahead and turn that into our skater. So now we're going to reach down to tap toward our toe. So the left hand's going to come down to the right toe as the left foot taps out to the opposite side, and reverse. If you want to build a little bit more heat here, you can turn it into a hop as you switch from left to right. or you can just keep it as a reach and keep yourself connected to the ground. We're doing about 3 more of these on each side. And last set. And then settle that back down. And come into a stillness. And let's go ahead and find our way to the back of our mat. We're going to find that nice, beautiful posture that we started with. And we're going to reach our hands up overhead, clasp our hands above, flip them inside out so the palms are facing the ceiling, and we're going to bend over to the right side of the body, stretching nice and long, feeling it opening, twisting at the torso, twist the chest down to the ground while the hips stay facing forward, stretch it out here. On your next exhale, we're going to unfold and come back up through center, and then repeat that on the other side, stretching up high above, hands clasped and then turned inside out, bending over to the opposite side of the body, twisting at the torso to face the chest to the ground, hips stay facing forward, deep breath here, unwind and back up through center. Let's go ahead and come onto a roll down. So we're going to reach up overhead, and then hollow out the abdomen, feeling the head be a heavy sinker. We're going to come on down one bone at a time, feeling ourselves peel from behind all the way down as we hang our head heavy. Maybe shake the head yes and no here. Take a few deep breaths and just really enjoy that nice, beautiful stretch all along the back side of your body. All right, when you're ready, go ahead and walk it on out to all fours. So we're going to have our knees planted directly under our hips. Our wrists are going to be right under our shoulders. Fingers are spread wide. And we have a nice long line from head to tail. From here, let's just go through a couple cat-cow poses. So I want you to let your belly hang low, and your tail and your head are going to come up behind you like they're trying to meet. And on this, we're doing an inhale. And then we're going to pedal it into the opposite direction, arching the spine, pushing our air, exhaling out, bringing the head and the tail underneath as if they were trying to meet underneath our body. And then we'll go through about 4 sets of those at your pace. Follow your breathing pattern. Inhale one direction, exhale the other. Don't have it be something that you're trying to win a race with. It's just a nice, gentle stretch. Front side of the body, back side of the body. And then go ahead and settle that all into quiet. Nice still pose here in our tabletop position. And then push your hips back over your heels. Stretch your arms out long in front of you. Bring the forehead down to the mat. And if it feels good, flip the palms up to the sky to release any tension on those wrists. And let's just enjoy a few deep breaths here in child's pose. All right, when you're ready, let's go ahead and transition to seated, and we are done with our warm-up. All right, so go ahead and grab your roller, and we're going to set the roller long ways on the mat. You're going to want to straddle the roller, so you're going to get down toward the end of the roller and put your bottom on it, and you're going to roll back, making connection with your spine onto the roller. What you want to do here is make sure that your head is fully supported. So if your head is hanging off the top of that roller, you're going to shimmy on down and make sure you have full support from head to tail on the roller. In this position, I want you to go ahead and put your feet at both ends of the mat so they're in a bent knee position, and these are going to be your anchors. So they're going to keep you stable on this very unstable surface of the roller. So go ahead and put your hands behind your head. You're going to have your thumbs right at the base of your skull. Elbows are in your peripheral vision, and you've got a nice little gap between your chin and your chest. On your next exhale, so take a nice big deep inhale, and on your next exhale, you're going to float the upper body up off the roller into a tiny little ab curl, keeping the length in the spine, but feeling that activation in your abdomen as you hang there for just a few moments here. And your gaze is out over your knees. You might even start to feel a little bit of a shake. You're kind of activating those core muscles. So go ahead and bring it back on down to the roller, roll on out, and reset. And we're going to do that again. So on your next exhale, we just peel the upper body up off that mat, off the roller, and come on up into our ab curl. Take a nice big deep inhale here. And on the exhale, roll it back down onto the roller. Now that we've kind of got that upper body movement in place, let's go ahead and get that lower body moving. So we're going to keep our hands down by the side now. So go ahead and take your hands away from the back of your head, put them down by your sides, by your hips, and your palms are down on the ground, and that's going to keep you anchored. So that's your stability now. You don't need to push in hard. They're just there to keep you stable. And now, if you can, I want you to lighten your feet one at a time. So just kind of test the waters by lifting your right foot and hovering it up off the mat. And if that feels okay, you kind of activated some balance muscles and you had to counterbalance yourself, go ahead and bring that up into a marching tabletop position. So that knee's going to be up over the hip in that bent position. And if that's okay, bring it back down and then switch to the other side. So now the left foot floats up off the mat, hovers just to get that kind of sense of balance, and then it comes up into that marching tabletop position, and then back down. So go ahead and do a couple marches here, maybe 3 or 4 sets. So you're going to do 3 or 4 up and down on each side. All the while breathing, we're not holding our breath, but we're really paying attention to what's going on in our body as our body tries to keep ourselves stable and balanced on top of this roller. 1 more on each side, and then go ahead and bring those feet back down to the mat and just take a breath, shake it out for a second. And now we're going to kind of put that together a little bit. So now I want you to keep your feet anchored to start with. Put those hands behind the head, and you've got your thumbs at the base of the skull, elbows in that peripheral vision. Float on up into that ab curl. And now see what it's like, if you can, to hover that right foot up off the mat. Are you going to lose your balance? If so, don't go farther than the hover. But if you feel like you can bring it up into that marching position, go ahead and then bring it down and then do the same thing on the left side. So now you're going to march with the ab curl on the roller. There's a lot going on here. Don't get frustrated with yourself. Just pay attention. Turn on the core, figure out what you need to do to dial in to keep your balance and be able to move through this marching step, these toe tap steps in that ab curl on top of that roller. All right, go ahead and bring those feet down, roll the upper body back out onto the roller and take a couple deep breaths, reset. All right, so go ahead and I want you to roll to one side of the roller, doesn't matter, roll to one side and then gently dismount that roller and kind of flick it out to the other side. So find yourself now lying flat on your back on the mat. Take that roller and now I would like you to put it between your knees and your ankles. So the top end of the roller is nestled between your knees, hugged in there, and then the bottom end of the roller is in your ankles. And you're going to bring that up into a tabletop position. So in order to do that, you're going to want to make sure you're protecting your core. So you're going to hug in all around the midline, midsection here. So you're bringing it in, tightening it up. Not so much where you can't breathe, but you still got some good activation and you can easily take a nice big deep inhale. So in this tabletop position, there's a lot of work going on right now, just holding that there and holding it between your legs. I want you to just go ahead and push the roller out away from you 3 or 4 inches. You're not taking it down to the mat. You're just pushing it forward 3 or 4 inches and then bringing it back 3 or 4 inches. Forward and back. All this time, I don't want to see any arching or have you feel any arching in the lower back. Everything is stable in that core section. Your hips, your back, all of that is like a rock on that mat. It is not moving. As you move it forward just a couple inches, back just a couple inches. 1 more, forward and back, and then hold it there. Don't let it go. Hold it up in that tabletop position. Take a breath. And now we're going to add an ab curl to that. So in the tabletop position, I want you to put your hands behind your head, float up into that ab curl. And now do those same movements. So you're taking it out away from you 3 or 4 inches, bringing it back 3 or 4 inches. Out and back and out and back. This is slow. We're not racing. Out and back. Couple more and back. Last one here. All right, bring that upper body down to the mat, and if you need a break, take those feet down for a second and shake it out. If you are able to hang with us, just bring those knees back up into that tabletop position and hold them there. Next, we're going to tap the roller down. So if the upper body ab curl part was too much for you, you keep the upper body down. If it was just right, I want you to float back up into that ab curl. Knees are up over the hips. Rollers right hugged in between those knees and those ankles. And now I want you, keeping the integrity of your hips and your spine, lower that roller down toward the mat, away from you, like you're going to tap it down right in the middle of the end of your mat and then bring it on back up. So just 4 or 5 of those here. Tap it down, bring it back up. If at any time the ab curl's too much, come on back down. Or if you want to challenge yourself, come on up into that ab curl if you didn't start there. 2 more. Center of the mat tap, bring it back up. Last one, and up. And if your upper body is up, take it down, take a breath. If you need to put those feet down for a second, do so. Otherwise, just keep them floated up there in that tabletop position. And now we're going to do the coup de grace. So we're on the last part of this. So come on up into that ab curl if you're able. Knees are up over those hips. And we're going to go side to side with that roller. So you're going to take and twist your legs so that you're going to take the end of that roller and tap the left corner of your mat. And then bring it back up through center. And then angle it to go tap the right corner of your mat. Back through center. Remember to breathe. Don't rely on momentum. I don't want you flopping all over the place, but really a controlled, slow, intentional movement as you arc that over to the left, back through center, and right for 2 more sets. Last one here. And then bring it back up through center, roll that upper body down, put those legs down on the mat, get that roller out of the way, and stretch your body out long both ways in opposite directions on that mat. And take a nice long inhale, feel that stretch, exhale, let it all go. All right, let's come on up to a seated position. Grab your roller and let's put it in between your hands. So you're going to have it long ways and you're going to have your hands on either end of the roller. Legs can be bent for this or they can be out long. If you have loose hamstrings, you can put your legs out long in front of you with your feet flexed. If those hamstrings are a little too tight, go ahead and bend them and put your feet flat on the mat. Sitting up nice and tall on those sits bones, I want you to take that roller and push into either end of it. So there's some energy, some activation going on in that upper body as you do that. And then I want you to roll yourself back down to the mat. So now you're lying on your back on the mat, roller in your hands above your chest. Take a deep breath here, and on your exhale, I want you to float up into that tiny baby ab curl. So you're floating the upper body up off the mat. You're holding that roller right there above you. Now I want you to twist your torso and take the left end of your roller toward the left side of your mat, toward the ground. So you're doing an oblique twist. I want you to bring it back through center and now twist your torso and take the right end of the roller toward the right side of your mat. Come back through center and roll it down. Now that you know where we're going, I want you to take a deep breath, exhale, come on back up, and we're going to do this 6 times on each side. So you roll up, go from left, through center, to right, through center, left, center, right, center, left, center, right, center, halfway there, center, right, center, left, center, right, center, last one here, left, center, right, center. Come back down to the mat, stretch that roller up over your head, stretch those legs out long, and take a nice big deep breath. All right, let's set ourselves up for roll-ups now. Roller's going to stay in those hands. Come on up to a seated position, sitting up nice and tall. Same concept goes with those legs, either coming out long in front of you with the feet flexed or else bent knees with your feet flat on the mat. Go ahead and scoop your abs out. So you're going to hollow out that belly and tilt your hips up towards, so you're tilting that pubic bone up toward the nose. And then you're going to gently start to roll your spine back down to the mat. The roller's just coming along for the ride all the way until you get all the way down. Shoulders are down. The roller comes up overhead. And then bring that roller up over again. Come up into that ab curl and thinking activate the lowest of low abs, really pushing the belly button to spine. Come on up, rolling back up one vertebra at a time until you're back up into that seated position. Go ahead and cycle through those. Do about 4 or 5 of these. And if this isn't happening for you and you're finding yourself just not being able to get through that glitchy spot, or you just don't have the strength right now to make it all the way down to the mat and all the way back up, go ahead and push a little harder into the ends of the roller. You might find that that extra activation gives you a little bit more oomph and energy to get back up. And if it really just isn't happening for you, come down to the shaky spot. So roll back until you hit that spot where you're like, I'm not going to make it back. So hang there for a moment and then come on back up to seated. So whatever version you're doing, you should have done about 4 or 5 of those, rolling all the way through those roll-ups or modified versions as you need. Let's do one more here together. All right, and then go on, come back up to a seated position. Put the roller down for a second and put your legs out long in front of you and just bend forward. Reach out over those feet. So just take a nice long spine stretch and reach out over those toes. All right, let's roll on back to the mat, and we're going to have you take that roller and put it under your feet. So you're going to be lying flat on your back, knees are bent, and rather than having the feet on the mat, they're on that roller. So make sure it's in a comfortable position. It's not too far away or too close to your rear. And you're going to be able to, so go ahead and take an experiment of popping those hips into the air. We're going to work on some bridge work, so just make sure that that roller is in a good position for you. All right, so come on back down. Make sure your back is flat on the mat. Let's go ahead and just do flat back bridging. We're not going to worry about articulating the spine and pulling it up one vertebra at a time like we do sometimes. So go ahead and just have the upper body down, collarbones are spread wide. Lift those hips up into the air by pressing your feet into the roller, activating your glutes, and hold that bridge up at the top. Take a nice big deep inhale, and on the exhale, melt that spine right back down. Come on back down to the mat. Just do a couple of them here just to get the motion in your body of putting that bridge up, bringing the hips up to the ceiling, and then bringing them back down. It's a little bit trickier with the feet on the roller. It's a little bit less balance there. All right, so let's come on up. Let's get all of us up into a bridge here. So now we're up in a bridge. And now I want you to shift your weight into your left foot, and I want you to think, I'm going to keep these hips steady and level, left to right. I'm not going to let my right hip dip when I let this right foot float up off my roller. So I've got strong stability in that left leg, upper body's pressed into the mat, and then you're going to float that right foot up off the roller, and if you've got it, then I want you to take that leg long to the air, and we're going to pump that leg 4 times. So toes are going to point up to the sky, and then we're going to take them back out over the roller. That's 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Put that foot back on the roller. Go ahead and hold that bridge. Shift your weight to the right foot now, making sure that we're going to keep these hips level and steady. We're going to float that left foot up off the roller. And if we've got this, then we're going to go ahead and take that toe and point it straight up to the ceiling. Nice long leg, reaching for the sky. And we're going to pump that leg 4 times. So it's going to come up, down, at the end of our mat, up to the sky. That's 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Put that foot back on the roller. Bring those hips back down to the mat and take a break for a second. Maybe you want to just let your knees flop side to side. Just take some relief here for a moment. And let's build onto that and do one more thing. So we're going to come back up into that bridge. So our feet are on the roller, pushing up. We've got those glutes activated. We're up in that bridge. We're going to shift the weight into the left foot again. We're going to take that right foot long up into the sky. So toes pointed, long, long reach. And now rather than pumping it down toward the front of the mat, we're going to open it to the side of the mat. So it's a windshield wiper leg. So we're going to open it to the outside of our body and using the inner thighs, bringing it back up Open it to the outside, bring it back up. 2 more. Open and close. Open and close. Put that foot back down on the roller. Shift the weight into that foot now. Take that other leg long up into the air, and let's do the same thing. Open that leg to the outside of the body. Bring it back up through center. We're resisting, feeling all that power. And that second one here. And close. And 3. And close. And 4. And close. That foot finds its way back to the roller. Hips find their way back down to the mat. Get that roller out of the way. Stretch the body long in both directions and just feel some relief. Maybe if the long body stretch isn't for you, maybe you want to hug those knees into the chest and just kind of roll side to side. Maybe we do a little bit of both here. Take a couple deep breaths. All right. Let's go ahead and transition to seated. So we're going to come on up to a seated position. We're going to grab that roller, just like we did when we were working on those obliques and that roll up. We're going to have the roller long ways in our hands. Our hands are on either end of the roller. So sit up nice and tall on your mat. If you can, the legs go out straight in front of you with flexed feet. If you can't, you know what to do. Bend those knees and put your feet into the mat. In this position, we're just going to do a seated twist. So I want you to think, keep those bony points, those hip sits bones, that are planted into the mat. They are like railroad ties anchored down through the floor, so you are not going to move those hips. So sitting up nice and tall, take a nice big deep inhale, exhale, and now on your next inhale, I want you to twist to the right side of your body, pushing into either end of those rollers, twisting at the torso, and then on the exhale, bring it back through center. Inhale, twist in the opposite direction. Go ahead and go through that, going to the left and right, each time twisting at the torso, pressing into the ends of the rollers, sitting up nice and tall. Each time you twist, you almost feel like you're getting just a little bit taller. You're noticing that your feet aren't shifting, so you're not seeing one foot draw back and one foot extend because you've got those hips planted down in the mat. Your bottom is glued to that mat there. Let's do 2 more on each side. Twist and twist. And come on back through center. And let's do that spine stretch forward again. So take that roller and reach it out over your toes. So just reach out forward and feel that nice long stretch all along the back side of your body. Go ahead and put that roller down for a moment, and let's do one more stretch here before we flip on over to our stomachs. So go ahead and cross your legs or do whatever you want to keep those legs comfortable. Put your right hand down to the side. Take that left hand and reach it up tall to the sky, and then arch over and really feel an opening in that side body. Take a nice big inhale. Send all that air you can to open that side up, feeling the rib cage expand, bringing it back through center. Opposite hand finds its way down to the mat. Other arm reaches up long toward the sky and arch it over and feel that nice long stretch after those twisty torso moves we just did. All right. Bring it back through center and then transition to lying on your stomach. So go ahead and get settled in and turn your neck one way or the other just to get a little stretch there. You're going to find your hips firmly not planted, but they're nestled into the mat. Walk those legs out long away from the hips. Core is engaged, so you feel a nice hug around the abdomen area. And you're going to widen those collarbones and bring those shoulders back down so that they're not up in your ears. Take those hands and put them just above your shoulders on the mat and turn your nose to facing into the mat. Go ahead and either way, on an exhale or inhale, whatever feels more comfortable to you, I want you to just peel the upper body up off the mat into a little bit of a back extension and then bring it back down to the mat. Just do a couple of those and explore what's activating along the back side of your body. See if you're pushing hard into the mat or are you really getting some extension from those back muscles. And then go ahead and let your hands float up with you. So you want your hands to float up with you into that swan. So that way you can really make sure that you're engaging those back muscles rather than just relying on that push into the mat. Let's do a couple more here. All right. So on this next one, I want you to come up into that little baby swan. So I only want you high enough that you can maintain this because we're going to hang here for just a few minutes. So don't go too high. Just come up to a reasonable height. And then I want you to twist at the torso and like you're peeling that left shoulder up off the mat. So you're twisting toward the left, come back through center and twist to the right. So this is a torso twist on our bellies. So we're just twisting from left to right in that swan position. And so we're feeling those obliques along the back side. So the contralateral muscles go ahead and activate and do their thing. All right, settle that in and come on back down to the mat. Turn your head in the opposite direction than what you did when you came down here to get that little baby neck stretch. And take a deep breath here. Next, we're going to go for a little swim. So I want you to go ahead and set yourself up again. So your core is your anchor. Your abs are going to be kind of hugged in and nestled into the mat. Reach those legs long out behind you. Go ahead and reach your hands out in front of you. If you find that your shoulders came up into your ears, just ease them back down. You don't want them up in your ears, but you want them just kind of in their natural, neutral position there. So we're going to be fluttering the legs and fluttering the hands for 30 seconds. So get yourself up, come on up, float the body up, and the clock starts now, fluttering for 30 seconds. If you need a break, you come down, then you bring it back up to it. If the upper body's too much, bring the upper body down and just do the lower body, or vice versa. You're halfway there. Only 15 seconds left. And it doesn't have to be fast. It can be a slow, controlled kick, or if you prefer a fast flutter kick, this is your option to take what you want to do. All right, come on down. That's enough of swimming for us. So I want you to go ahead and bring the body down, and then I want you to bend your knees, and I want you to windshield wiper your legs side to side and just get a little bit of relief off that low back. In fact, at this time, let's go ahead and take a quad stretch. So if you can, you're going to reach your left hand back to your left foot, so your foot is bent up toward your heel towards your bottom, and you're going to try and grab that foot and take a nice quad stretch on that side. And if it feels good to do both at the same time, you can go ahead and take the other hand and reach for that foot and do a double quad stretch. But if that's not for you, you just do one at a time. So whatever you need to do, take that moment to stretch those quads out. It'll kind of stretch your abdomen out a little bit too, and you'll feel a nice stretch in the body. So take a couple deep breaths as you work through that, whether you're doing them both at the same time or doing them one at a time. And when you're ready, go ahead and slowly and gently release those feet back down to the mat. And we're going to do one more thing on our bellies. So I always like to do rockets on our stomachs because I feel like it really activates and gets everything firing. It makes for a much stronger back. And who couldn't use a stronger back in our society where we sit at the desk so often, or we sit at a station, or wherever it is that our job puts us into a kind of a flexed, hunched over position. So good strength in the back is going to be good for all of us to counterbalance that work. So nose is down toward the mat. We're going to have our hands down by our hips, palms faced up toward the sky. So we're going to float those quads up off the mat, float the upper body up off the mat, and then we're going to stretch long in both directions, feeling like we're just being ripped from toe to head. So feel that nice length all along the body, lots of power as you peel up off the mat and then bring it back down. Don't hold your breath when you get up there or when you get to the bottom. Make sure you can breathe. So go ahead and bring it all back up and bring it down. Let's do 3 more of these. So you're going to bring it all up, float it up, feel that energy, all that activation, the whole body to get this work done, and then bring it down. 2 more. Breathing through. Last one. Bring it down. Whew, we did it. So go ahead and turn your neck one side or the other. Maybe take a moment on both sides and take a couple deep breaths. Whew. And then go ahead and push yourself up through to child's pose. So don't go too fast. Take your time because you might have a little bit of a tightness in your back after all that work. So find yourself back where your hips are over your feet, and you've got your hands out in front of you, and you take just a couple deep breaths here in child's pose. All right, so we're going to get back on that roller again. So come on down to your mat, have that roller long ways again on your mat, and you're going to straddle the roller down at the bottom, And then you're going to roll on down and make sure that head is supported. So do any kind of scooch poo that you need to do to make sure that you're fully supported on that roller from the top of your head down to your tail. So in this position, those knees are bent, the feet are flat on the mat. And let's take those arms up over us like we're holding a box over our chest. And let's just go ahead and float the arms down like we're going to set the box on our knees, and then bring it back up like we're going to set it back behind us over our head. So just start to feel what's going on in your shoulders and your arms while you go through that motion. Do you have any tightness, any stickiness, any weirdness that's going on, any glitchy problems? Just make note of those. And then bring that back up overhead again. And so now I want you to instead put that box away. We're not thinking about the box anymore. And we have a big tree that's right above us. So we want to hug around that tree. So we're going to bend the elbows and we're going to come around that tree, and we feel an activation right along where our arms meet our body, kind of in our rib cage here. So a nice activation all around the upper body. So we're going to try to wrap our arms around that tree so we can feel our shoulder blades leave the roller. And then we're going to bring them back and unhug that tree. And so now we feel the shoulder blades pinch the roller behind us. So cycle through a couple of those where you can feel the shoulder blades come away from each other as you hug around the tree to try to bring your hands together around the tree. And then open them back up and feel the shoulder blades pinch the roller as you release the tree. Let's do 2 more of those. So what we're doing is kind of finding the shoulder blades in our back, opening, protracting, and retracting here. Kind of just stretching it out. But there's a lot of work going on in the upper body too. You can feel stuff going on just holding those arms up in against gravity is work. All right, settle that in. And now let's take our hands into goalpost arms. So our arms are in goalpost position, so they're kind of parallel to the floor. And then we're just going to try to bring our elbows together up over our chest and then bring them back down to the side. So we're just going to open and close those goalpost arms a couple times here, 3 or 4. Whatever feels good. Don't let them stretch too far to where it hurts. You'd only let them open as far as it feels good, and then bring them together in front. All right, so last thing on the roller here, we're going to do angels in the snow. So that is exactly what it sounds like. So we're going to take those hands up over our head to the top of our mat, and then we're just going to slide them, open palms up toward the sky, slide them out like angel wings to take the hands down to the hips, and then back up over the head. Go ahead and do a couple of those. Maybe even experiment with doing alternating as one hand comes up, the other one goes down, or keep them together, whatever feels good. Just kind of get that movement in the upper body. All right, let's settle it in. Hands come to either side on the side of our bodies, and we're going to roll off that roller. So go ahead and dismount, get off that roller, get it out from underneath you, and then flip on over and come to hands and knees. So the roller is going to be under your hands. So your knees are directly under your hips, and your hands are on that roller, and your wrists are right under your shoulder, and you're in a nice tabletop position. So from this position, we're just going to do a little bit of a sternum drop. So this is that same concept of hugging the tree. I want you to think my elbows are going to stay straight. They're not locked out, but they're also not going to be bending deeply. The movement comes from pinching the shoulder blades together behind us and then pushing them away from each other and pushing into that roller. So the sternum drops. So our collarbone, our sternum, which is that nice long bone in the middle of our rib cage, drops down toward the roller as the shoulder blades pinch behind you. And then as you push them away from each other and you push into your roller, the sternum comes back up. So just do 3 or 4 more of those. And then settle that into neutral position here. And then let's just do a couple of all fours push-ups on the roller. So I want you to think about, in this position, you're not going to bring your forehead down close to the roller. You're going to drop your chest down toward the roller. So you're going to bend at the elbows, and kind of it's like a tricep push-up. So the elbows are going to come back toward the rib cage as you aim your chest down to tap the roller, and then push it back up to tabletop position. So let's go through and let's do 8 of these. So slow and steady. Don't try to rush it, and breathe through it. So at your pace, You're lowering the chest down and pushing it back up. So we're building upper body strength and power so that way we can be buff, right? All right, let's settle that in. Let's go ahead and take that roller out of the way and go ahead and sit back on your hips for a moment and roll those wrists. So get a little bit of relief on the wrists before we move into an opposite arm and leg reach. So I'm thinking more of gentle upper body engagement throughout this sequence. So we're not doing a ton of power. Maybe the most power we got there was that tricep push-up on the roller. All right, so come on back down. Get the roller out of your way for right now. And so we're in an all fours position. And I want you to take the right leg and kick it out behind you, big toes touching the mat, and left arm is out in front of you and your pinky is touching the mat. And I want you to lift that pair a couple inches off the mat and lower that pair. Each time you're going to lift and lower, we're doing this for 8 counts, and what you're trying to do is keep them on a level plane. So if you can imagine, I know it's hard to probably see where you are right now in space, but you want to think about your foot being just as high as your hand. We're about halfway there. Breathing through it. We're not rushing through it. We got about 2 more here. And then tuck that pair back under, and let's do the opposite side. So now the left foot kicks out behind us, right hand comes out in front of us, and all this time as we lift and lower that pair for 8 counts, the rest of our body is perfectly still and stable. The hips are level, the shoulders are level, we're not having ourselves dip or twist or torque in any weird direction. It is a very powerful stability in the body as that floating pair lifts and lowers. 2 more. All right, go ahead and push back onto your hips again and roll those wrists out. Make sure you take care of those wrists. Sometimes it gets a little bit tough as we sit on those in all 4 positions. All right, let's come to a standing position and bring that roller along with us. We're going to hold that roller in our hands, one hand on either end of the roller. Standing up in a nice standard position, neutral position, our feet are underneath us, just about hip width distance apart. We're going to do some squats. And so here's where we're going with this. We're going to do 8, 8, 8, 8. So we're going to do 8 nice, slow, steady, normal squats. And we're going to make sure that when we come down, we're sitting back into a chair. We're not going to let our knees go out over our toes. And we're going to have a nice, long, flat back from head to tail as we come down. And that roller is going to come on up and then come on back down. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. So we're going to do 8 of those. And then on our last one, we're going to squat down. We're going to shift the weight to the heels and do 8 pulses there. Shift the weight to the balls of the feet, do 8 pulses there. Shift the weight evenly distributed and hold it for 8 counts and then slowly push up. So I'm giving you that forecast because I want you to make sure you're with me and you don't pop out of it too early. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So the roller's in our hands. We're going to squat our butt down behind us and the roller's going to come up overhead. And then come on back up to standing. The roller comes back down to the quads, to the legs. So we're going to do 8 of those here. So the butt comes down and up. Slow and steady. Breathing in, breathing out. Feeling all the power and energy in those legs. We're halfway there. Let's do a couple more. Nice and slow. Don't rush it. All right, last one here. So let's all come down into our squat. I want you to hold that squat as low as you can, where you can hold this, and I want you to shift your weight back to your heels, and we're going to pulse our butt down for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop. Adjust. Shift your weight onto the balls of your feet. And now we're going to pulse our butt up toward the sky. So we're going to pulse up for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop. Shift your weight so it's evenly distributed on front and back of the foot. And we're going to hold this for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly push those feet into the ground and extend those legs up to a standing position. Take that roller up high overhead and come on down into a roll down, rolling down, letting the roller touch the ground, and enjoy this nice forward fold and release any tension. Take a couple deep breaths here. Whew. You might want to go ahead and stand that roller up long ways and use it as a balance point and take a quad stretch here. So go ahead and grab your right foot behind you with your right hand, keep those knees together, and just give a nice little pull and stretch those muscles. A couple deep breaths there. Put that foot back down and shift to the other side and stretch that side out too. All right, so then we're going to roll into some lunges. So what I like to do is take that roller and I put it in between my legs. So I'm going to stack my feet one in front of the other. So I'm going to have my left foot forward and my right foot back, and then that roller is right in between them. And so I want this to be a 90-degree lunge. So what you're going to do is test where that roller needs to be. It's just a target for your knee to come down and tap. So what you want to look like is a nice perfect 90-degree angle when you squat down into that lunge, and that knee will tap that roller. So get yourself set up, experiment with what the right positioning looks like, and then we're just going to do 8 on each side. So we're going to go ahead and you can have your hands on your hips, up above, whatever feels good. I'm going to put mine on my hips here, and we're going to tap the knee down for 1, and up, 2, and up, 3, and up, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, we're going to change those legs, and now we're going to put the one that we just worked behind, or switch them around. Whichever leg you had in front before, take that one to the back, and vice versa. All right, set yourself up so that you have that nice, beautiful angle, that 90 degree, and we're going to come on down, make sure we got our balance, tap that knee, and up, and down, and up, and down, and up, down, and up. That's halfway. We got 4 more, and up, 3, and up, 2, and up, last one, and up. All right, go ahead and keep your legs wide. Turn toward the whatever side, so your toes are pointing in the same direction that your hips are pointing and your head is pointing, and just do a nice big forward fold with wide legs and feel that stretch. All right, let's move your right hand down in front of your face and twisting at the torso. Let the left hand float up toward the sky, and your gaze can follow. Nice deep breath here. And on your next exhale, bring that hand down to the mat. Switch hands, so now the left hand comes under the face, twisting the torso in the opposite direction. Right hand comes up toward the sky, gaze follows. Big deep breath here. On the exhale, both hands come down. And go ahead and walk yourself back up to a standing upright position. Let's go ahead and find our way to the back of the mat. Get your roller out of the way if it's still in the way there. Reach on up real high. Let's do a roll down. So feel that nice long release along the back side. Walk yourself out to a plank. And then hike your hips up into down dog. So the hips are up, your head's hanging between your biceps, and just go ahead and pedal those heels one at a time down toward the mat and get a nice stretch in those calf muscles. We're almost done, folks. All right, settle those feet into quiet. And go ahead, and we're going to come into pigeon. And if that's not good for your body and you know that, you're going to just come on down to your back and do a number 4 stretch on your back. But if pigeon is good for you, go ahead and kick that right foot up into the sky, sweep it on through underneath you. That right knee points toward the right corner of your mat, and you come on down just as low as you need to come to feel that nice stretch all along around your hip muscles. Take a couple nice deep breaths here. Again, if pigeon's not for you, you're on your back, and that number 4, pulling those legs in towards you just as much as you need to get that stretch. When you're ready, tuck the toes on that back leg. Take that bent knee out and reach that leg out behind you. Come back up through down dog, and take the opposite leg up to the sky. Sweep it on through and come into pigeon on the other side, coming down just as low as it feels good. Maybe it's down to elbows, maybe it's down to forearms, maybe you can come all the way down, whatever feels good. Couple deep breaths here. And curl those toes on the leg behind you. Have both legs back behind you in plank. Come on through. push up through down dog. And let's walk those feet up to the hand or jump those feet up to your hands and kind of hang there in a forward fold for a moment. Slowly push the belly button up to the spine to restack the vertebra one at a time. And we're going to do just one more little leg stretch series on our backs with a roller under our hips. So come on back down to the mat, have that roller nearby, pop yourself up into a bridge and put that roller under your tailbone. So it's going to be under your sacrum, and where you want to find it in a position that's going to nicely support you is where you can feel comfortable taking those legs up to the sky. So your upper body's just nice and spread out on the mat, hips are supported by your roller, and your legs are nice, just long up above. So this is called legs up the wall in yoga. It's a really nice relaxing position. Go ahead and point and flex your feet, either one at a time or at the same time. Maybe roll your ankles. And now open your legs wide to either side and feel a nice inner thigh stretch. Again, in this position, you can point and flex your feet if that feels good. If this does not feel good at all, bend those knees and get the stretch that way. All right, and go ahead and bring those legs back up through center. So both legs are up in the sky. I want you to hug the right knee into the chest and keeping that left leg nice and long, reach it out toward the front of your mat. Don't let it touch the mat, but just let it hang there and get a nice hip flexor stretch here. Those deep hip flexors get a lot of work in any kind of yoga, Pilates, any kind of strength and toning class, so it's good to stretch them out. When we sit all day, they get short and tight, and so we want to stretch them so that they're nice and flexible and they don't give us low back pain. All right, bring both knees up through center, or both legs up through center, and now we're going to hug the opposite knee into the chest. Take that other leg and reach it out long toward the end of the mat and get the stretch on this side. A couple deep breaths here. All right. Bring both those knees into the chest and just kind of get a nice little massage on your low back. Maybe roll the legs, roll the knees in little circles and whatever feels good here for a moment. And then put your feet back down on the mat, pop your hips up off that roller, get the roller out of the way, and then roll to one side to push yourself up through to seated and find a comfortable position. And just like we start the class with 3 nice deep breaths together, we're going to end the class the same way. So finding that nice seated position. You can have your arms part of this ritual, or you can just leave them down by the side, whatever feels comfortable to you. So we're going to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Last one here, in and out. That's all the time we have here together, folks. Take care, be well, and we'll see you next time. Bye.